Plastic pollution on land and in the oceans is one of the most urgent environmental issues the world faces.
We are overusing what the planet can provide for us on a normal cycle, right? We have 7 billion people today, we're gonna have 9 billion people, and we're already using 1.5 planets, right? So the planet produces things, and then it needs some time to renew. It needs some time to have the regrowth so that it can make something again, and we're using things quicker than it can renew.
Now manufacturers, from very recognizable brands to small businesses, are looking for more sustainable alternatives to the way that we use goods. Right now, the way that we consume the majority of our products, everything from clothing to appliances, even our phones, food, is in a linear system that's completed with the end of the life of that product. We buy something, we use it, we throw it away.
In the past 15 years, half of the plastic ever produced was made. And that's because we have proliferated our use of plastics, not just in single-use plastics, which I think are always at top of mind, but also in housewares, in construction, in clothing, in automotive, obviously food service, in healthcare. And so as we have proliferated that use, we haven't really done the best job at figuring out what to do with all of that when we're done with it.
The alternative, a circular economy. It relies on a continuous looped system and the end of use, not the end of life. When a consumer no longer needs a product, the item goes back to a manufacturer, gets recycled, or broken down into pieces that can. Alicia Ferrero is with TerraCycle, a company that specializes in hard-to-recycle things like cigarette butts and dirty diapers. She says one of the biggest drivers of recycling today is the desire to turn a profit.
We've literally sent someone to the moon. You know, as a society, we can figure out how to take one material and turn it into something else. Your normal recycling company, they are essentially urban miners in that they're looking for material that they can profit off of collecting and aggregating and selling downstream.
But some manufacturers are now paying even more attention to the environmental benefits of reusing stuff. In 2015, the fashion industry produced more than 5% of global CO2 emissions. Now, the Global Fashion Agenda says 12.5% of the global market have set goals to recycle more materials. Like the small business Pingree, a shoemaker that reuses leather scraps from Detroit automakers. Or Unify, a company out of North Carolina that recycles single-use plastic bottles into synthetic polyester for everything from clothing to car filters.
We've now reached a critical point where the entire industries that are using polyester are shifting over to recycled because people are seeing what's happening to our oceans with plastic. So when we create this chip, we put a proprietary tracer in there, and then we have an outside lab where they can see when it's made in a finished garment, and they can put it under a microscope, and they can tell that it is made with Repreve.
Household products are going circular too. This June at Sustainable Brands in Detroit, Procter & Gamble told Newsy the company updated its environmental goals to be more aggressive, including 50% less plastic in packaging by 2030. There are so many different brands underneath the P&G moniker. You know, when we start talking about the scalability of even just one of those brands, which is very large, how do you start to do that with all of these different brands underneath P&G?
Months ago, we launched our Brand 2030 criteria. And those are criteria against which we are holding all those leadership brands accountable to enable and inspire responsible consumption. And we are making that public, and we will report, very regularly on our progress.
Procter & Gamble, Unilever, and Nestle are some brands that have partnered with Loop, a sort of milkman model where long-lasting refillable packaging goes to the user's home and then back to the manufacturer when it's empty. Right now, it serves 4 states and Washington, D.C., and is set to be available in Toronto in 2020. This could help address the biggest remaining hurdle, consumer behavior. One study found almost 3 of every 4 millennials said they'd be willing to spend more on sustainable products, but so far, the whole world only recycles about 9% of plastics. Experts say designing products that will hold up to the wear and tear of a more circular economy will get consumers' attention, and so will holding companies accountable.